Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Ollie Hayes, and today I'm bringing you all today's headlines in the world of Everton. So let's get straight into it with today's main headline, and it's surrounding Wilfred Gnonto. And Nancy Froston has reported Everton's difficulties in negotiating with Leeds United and why that deal didn't go ahead. She reported that Leeds rejected a £23 million bid for Wilfred Gnonto earlier in the window, with Everton then going on to sign Jesper Lindstrom instead of Wilfred Gnonto in a loan deal from Napoli, as we know. Nancy further reports that any deal for Nonto isn't close, which for me I think is a little bit of a disappointing one. We've seen it so many times now with Wilfred Nonto and negotiating with Leeds United. I think this report this morning definitely confirms what we've seen over the last two summer transfer windows with the difficulties in negotiating with Leeds. They are a very hard club to negotiate with. We saw the long dragging on saga last summer with Nonto and that transfer that didn't happen. It does seem to be deja vu in terms of this transfer this summer. But it's nice to hear that we were quick to move on to other targets. Obviously, we've seen Jesper Lindstrom join the club in recent weeks on a loan deal from Napoli with an option to buy. So I think that's definitely positive that we've moved on to another target so quickly. But it does beg the question as to why Leeds were so adamant with their price of Nonto. It does seem that Nancy has reported this morning that was due to Crescencio Somerville's move to West Ham United, and once that started to accelerate and materialise, it did seem more difficult to get the Wilfred Gnonto deal over the line, which I think is to be expected. We've seen it with many different deals over the years. You look at the Anthony Kudus situation at Ajax a couple of seasons ago when Everton were in for Mohamed Kudus from Ajax, and but for the transfer of Anthony to Manchester United, that one would have gone through. So I think it is deja vu in terms of this one, but it's nice to see that we moved on to another target so quickly. But that being said, Team Talk have reported as well that Everton do still hold an interest in Wilfred Gnonto, in the 20-year-old winger. Despite being knocked back early in the window, as we were told this morning by The Athletic, Everton are expected to bid again. So that's a positive. Whether that materialises and we enter into more strenuous negotiation with Leeds, it remains to be seen. But we are expected to bid again, which I think is a positive. It does show that Kevin Thelwell and Sean Dyche do want Wilfred Gnonto in the squad this season. So let's see how that one develops. Let's see if we do put in another bid. But at least we have now closure and reasons why the initial bid was rejected and why that move didn't really materialize in recent weeks. But moving on to another outgoing potentially, and Gazzetta via Sport Witness, they've reported that Beto is a name of interest to Atalanta, with potential negotiations including El Bilal Touré coming the other way to Everton. I wanted to get your thoughts on this. So we did a Twitter poll earlier, and out of 2,226 votes, 69% of you are actually in favour of a swap deal between El Bilal Touré and Beto, with 19% unsure and 12% of you against that. Again, I said this yesterday, and I was reporting on the initial interest of Beto with Atalanta. I personally would like to see Beto stay. I think there's definitely a player in there. We didn't see it fully last season, did we, of Beto in an Everton shirt? We didn't see him get to the heights that he maybe wants, or maybe us as Evertonians want. But I do definitely think there's a player in there. I do definitely think we'd be better sticking by him. But it remains to be seen whether a deal could be struck. On the El Bilal Touré side of things, I do think he's a player that's definitely got a high ceiling. He's got very good potential, maybe a bit more potential than say what Beto has, but he did have a pretty difficult season last season at Atalanta. It was massively hampered by injury. I think he got injured in his first game for Atalanta. So, that again begs the question, does his injury record pose a little bit of an issue for Everton? It does remain to be seen, but that's one definitely to keep an eye on. Obviously, there's more and more murmurs coming out of Italy now that Beto is of interest to Atalanta. So it now just begs the question whether Atalanta are going to come forward with a bid and with some negotiations for Beto. But that's one definitely to keep an eye on in the next couple of weeks. One definitely to keep an eye on in terms of if that develops any further. But for me personally, I'd definitely like to see Beto stay. And I want to know your thoughts on it in the comments. Would this be a good swap deal? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And finally, on the case of Beto, on the subject of Beto, there's finally some on the pitch news to bring you. Everton beat Motherwell 6-0 in a friendly behind closed doors at Goodison Park today. Goals did come from Beto, Mope, both got a brace, as well as Jake O'Brien and Harrison Armstrong, both getting on the score sheet. I'll start with Jake O'Brien. That's definitely positive to see. He got his first goal for Everton on his debut at Preston on Saturday, which was a great finish. It was right in front of me in the away end, that one. But also Harrison Armstrong, I think, is an interesting one. He's a player that I've been really impressed with in the small cameos he's had in pre-season. Coventry, I did think he had a decent game. He came on at Salford, looked okay, and then on Saturday at Preston, I thought he was really tidy on the ball. He was really calm, and he was showing the ilk of a very good player and a very good young player with a high potential and a high ceiling. So that's one definitely to keep an eye on going into the season. But positive, we beat a Scottish Premier League side 6-0, so it bodes well. They're pretty close to starting their season as well, so it bodes well going into the Roma game on Saturday, and then obviously the Brighton game next Saturday at Goodison Park, the opener of the Premier League season. But some good news there. Mopé and Beto also on the score sheet, probably two players that Evertonians probably wouldn't expect to be on the score sheet, especially after the last seasons they've had. But Beto, I think it's positive. Mopé, it's positive. But let's see if we can take that into the Roma game and then also the Brighton game next Saturday. And let's take this positivity into the rest of the window and then start the season well positively. But that is all for today's news. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on today's news headlines. And that's all from me. I'll speak to you in a bit.